Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Effing Racing Show on Twitch Sports for an extra bit of Effing Racing Show today for a groundbreaking first ever event in Formula One history, and I'm thoroughly looking forward to it myself. Welcome in. I'm Jez. I'm joined, as always, by Duff. How you doing, Duff?
Hello. Yeah, good, thanks. Bit toasty, but all good.
Yeah, a little bit hot under the collar at times.
Oh, yes.
And a hotel room for Duff,
Fancy.
says Harmstone.
It is indeed. I'm in sunny Doncaster.
Yeah, it wasn't sunny when I went there, but that was a very long time ago, and I went in the winter, so...
Yep, proper exotic. Proper exotic.
Yeah,
All
so
right,
slightly different setup for Duff, but he's on the ball. He's got all of his tinkering done. So you're on your phone.
That's the key.
Yeah, you're right here for a start. So you're on your phone for Discord that gets you the video into me. You've got your tablet going with Twitch so that you can keep an eye on the chat.
Yep. And my Chromebook with the race.
Chromebook with the race. There you go.
Yeah.
That's everything you need. That's pretty much the way I've got it, to be honest. You know, laptop, monitor. You know,
And two sets of emergency headphones.
yeah. You say very well prepared, Mr. Harmstone, but he was like, so what time do you want me today? Because I've got to go and get some headphones. Like, sprint race, you go off to the supermarket.
Yep. God bless Asda.
Yeah, this stream not sponsored by Asda, but we very much appreciate Asda for contributing to this stream here this afternoon. Now then, let's get to the racing, because this is the first of the sprint races. Do you want to talk briefly about how F1 got here and what has kind of led to them adopting or trying out this sprint race format?
Yeah, definitely. The previous system we had of three different Q1, Q3, Q2, Q3, and cars go out, the last five go out of each to determine the grid, was invented by Flavio Briatore, like, I think 7 or 9 years ago. We've been like having this format. And it meant that if you went to a Grand Prix weekend, if you went to the whole weekend, 50% of your weekend was just practice. You've got an hour qualifying, you've got 2 hours of the race, then you had 3 hours of practice. So 50%, you're not guaranteed to see cars going at it. And obviously with Liberty Media, the new owners, it's about entertainment as much as it is sport.
Yeah.
And so they wanted it so that if you just had tickets for a Friday, you'd get to see something that means something.
I'm with you.
So that's why this weekend we have free practice 1 and sprint race qualifying on the Friday. So you get to see that. Then free practice 2 and then the sprint race on the Saturday, and then the full race on the Sunday.
Yeah, and not to mention, especially with Silverstone, there's support races in Formula 1 and Formula 2 and the W Series as well. So if you are going to any day in the racing calendar, you are really getting your money's worth, I think.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, which is good, because I remember when I went to Silverstone, God, nearly 10 years ago now, and the Saturday wasn't really worth very much. And the Friday, we just didn't bother, basically, because there's not much with it.
No, it's only practice. Who cares about practice?
Thank you very much, Grimskull. Welcome in for providing me with your Prime subscription. Very much appreciated. I was just working out how to send Mr. Harmstone his subscription for winning the Acorns in June. I think that does it. To find out. Loading. There we go. Bam. Job done. That's everybody up to date. But Ed, yes. that was a very good explanation. Thank you, and welcome in everyone that has come in to join us, regular crew and new. Yeah, I like the idea personally, because I do think that there's been something lacking in Formula One qualification.
Yes.
For quite some time, and I thought that Formula E were somewhat providing the answer, but as it turns out, no, that doesn't work either. So hopefully
Some races it does, some races it doesn't. It's very odd.
Hopefully this sprint race format will change things up a bit and make things more exciting. Formula 2 have been doing it for a while, am I right in saying that?
They still have a similar qualifying. And then I think that just their normal races are considered sprint races because they're not massively long.
Right.
And they don't really need a pit stop. So.
Okay. So not strictly in the same format as Formula One are adopting.
Technically, it's not a sprint race; it's F1 sprint. If you're going with how Formula One want it.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with it being different and just an extra thing, because it's not like they got rid of a session. Really, you've still got the same amount of practices and
still got exactly the same qualifying, just a day early.
And it qualifies for this rather than for the main race, which is nice. And that seems like a nice segue to perhaps take us into what the running order is for this sprint.
Indeed. Qualifying. For those that aren't sure what the sprint actually is, it's 100 kilometers, which at Silverstone works out to 17 laps of racing. Usually in Formula One, once you've finished qualifying, the tyres you finish quali 2 on, you have to start the race on. But with this now, they have a complete free choice of tyres. There's no mandatory pit stop, so they can have any tyre they want. In this weather, for 17 laps, they're probably going to go soft because it's going to give you the best, which then I think leaves them medium and hard for tomorrow, and they can also now start the race on brand new tyres. And obviously the end of the race is the qualifying order for the race tomorrow. And first gets 3 points, second gets 2 points, third gets 1 point for the championship.
I like that.
Because it's not technically the race, there's no podium. There is, I believe there's a possibly a laurel wreath like they used to have in Formula One, and they'll stand just somewhere at the end of the pit lane or something. But there's no champagne either, because champagne is purely for the end of the race.
Fair enough.
So no, I don't think there's major pomp and circumstance for this, because it's just a race qualifying, basically.
But I like there's a couple of points on offer for it. That's nice.
Yeah, it does make it work as well to actually fight.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, especially to fight at the top. I mean, if you are 15th, it doesn't necessarily make a whole lot of difference to you whether you start the race 15th, 14th, 13th.
You do get the key with this is you get some people that are much better, like Perez, much better in the race, not always great at qualifying. So this little sprint race could potentially get him up from, say, 5th to 3rd.
Yeah.
And now he starts the race 3rd. So this is great for those that are brilliant in the race, or their racecraft is much better than their qualifying craft. I think anyway, I'll go through the grid and then I'll explain what I was going to about people on the grid.
Sure. Let me just pause for a second and say thank you, the Bald Monkeys, for the follow. Welcome on in.
So, the grid for the F1 sprint is Hamilton first, Max Verstappen second, Bottas third, Leclerc fourth, Perez fifth, Lando sixth, Ricciardo seventh. Great qualifying for him to be so close to Lando. Super George eighth, Sainz ninth, Vettel 10th, Fernando 11th, Gasly 12th, Ocon 13th, Giovinazzi 14th, Stroll 15th, Tsunoda 16th, Raikkonen 17th, Latifi 18th, Schumacher and Mazepin at the back of the grid.
Yeah.
So the key person there that I think might struggle off the line is George. Because he's always amazing in qualifying. It's just he's got a Ferrari behind him, and Vettel's been strong in that Aston Martin.
Yeah.
And even if there's a slight bit of wind, that Williams car really struggles with any wind at all. So I'm hoping it would be great if George could get slightly further up in those 17 laps. But
yeah,
we'll have to see what that Williams does.
So as you mentioned with the likes of Perez, this being a real benefit to them in terms of being able to push up their starting position for the main race. Perhaps not so for people like George Russell, who tend to qualify very well, but then the car isn't really up to that kind of competitive pace when it comes to actually racing. But we'll see. You know, he's been improving even in the car that he's had all season long, and gets better and better each race. So
it's true. The other thing is, especially with this, the teams themselves aren't going to want people to go too aggressive because they want the cars to be okay for the race.
Yeah.
But the drivers are drivers. And it is a race. Once those lights go out, it is a race. And it's going to be interesting to see, because someone like Danny Rick has done really well this weekend, isn't going to want to lose that 7th place. Now, does he just try and take it easy to keep that 7th? Or does he go for it and risk it?
It probably depends on how far he gets away from Lando. I don't think Lando and Danny Rick are particularly content to compete against each other. I think, unlike in a lot of teams, I think the relationship between the two of them is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
And they don't want to negatively affect the other's race in any way. So it depends what Lando does. If Lando is able to push his way up the field, then yes, I think Ricciardo will then push the others. Or if Lando struggles and starts to drop, then maybe Danny pushes. But if they still stay close to each other, I don't see Ricciardo trying to overtake Lando, to be honest.
Yeah.
But we shall see.
It's just going to be so interesting to see how the drivers take this. And like we saw two crashes. I think one straight off the line, really, in a F2. So the first corner will show you who's doing what. Because if they're going for it, you'll see they're going for it. If they're being a bit tiptoey, you'll see it, and that could cause problems for those that are going for it.
Yeah.
So
I can find the Silverstone circuit map and bring that up, because we haven't got a grid kind of jump. Is that right? Looks right. Yep. Okay.
Got the Hamilton straight on it.
There's not labelled in terms of names, but
just corners.
It's just the corner numbers, but it looks the same as the diagram on the live timing, so I think it's correct.
Yeah.
I'll put it up on the stream, and you can tell me immediately. So here we are. To zoom out a bit.
See, maybe my stream slightly. Oh, there we go.
So that is the Silverstone circuit as it stands. So as you say,
indeed,
down into corner 1, which is like a slow sweeping to the right. Do you think there's going to be some drama there?
Yeah, so we've got the main straight. My diagram of the grid's upside down compared to yours. Because, that's how we roll.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you come down the grid, down the Hamilton straight into Abbey, corner 1, which is a right-hander, flying through to a left-hander.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll be interesting to see Abbey what we get. They'll fly down to down Farm Curve, and the first tight corner, which will be corner 3, which is Village. There is where we could see some proper action.
Yeah.
And then after that, hitting in the loop.
That's very tight. That it's almost a 90-degree. It might even be more than 90 degrees.
90 degree,
yeah. That turn is going to be very, very tight for everyone. And so if they do manage to keep things together through the first 2 corners, you should pick up some speed going through those to then have to kind of hammer it down to make that turn into corner 3. I think there is where we might see some drama rather than in the first 2 corners, personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think corner 1 will tell us how aggressive the drivers will be. And then, corner 3, Village, will be the one where we'll probably maybe see a bit of touching.
Yeah, well, either way, I'm hoping for some kind of dramatic action.
Got a lot to look forward to.
Yes, indeed. Yes. And as we move into being about 15 minutes away from the race, I think now is a good time to take our Twitch-mandated commercial break and get us ready to get going from Silverstone for the first of 2 races this weekend. So we'll be back in 2 minutes. Stay with us and we'll get you ready to go from Silverstone. Welcome back to the Effing Racing Show. We're getting ready for the sprint race, the first of its kind. And I've dropped a link into the chat. If you're in the UK like we are, you can actually watch this and the main race tomorrow for free in the UK on free-to-air TV on Channel 4. Or on the Channel 4 website, which is the link that I've dropped into the chat. If you're not in the UK, and you know a way of watching television from not in your country, then there's the link for you for where it is free without having to sign up or anything. So, not that I would condone such things, but
The choice is yours.
yeah, the onus is on you if you'd like some Formula One on a Saturday afternoon in the UK. What time are we in the States? We're not quite in the afternoon yet in the States.
So, Jez, as a not massive Formula One person of the past, what are you? What are your feelings on this new system?
I really like the sound of it. I think the proof will be in the pudding, as it were. And once it's underway and we see actually how this is going to work and how the drivers react, possibly is the most important thing. Whether they do challenge each other, or whether they push each other, or whether it's just a 17-lap procession. But I think the fact that Formula One are trying to do new things and try and mix it up and try and add more entertainment value into a sport that has, as far as my opinion is concerned anyway, it has declined over the last 20 years. The cars are faster than ever, but that hasn't added to the entertainment value. Still a great sport, but it's not as good as it was 20 years ago.
Very true.
In my opinion, when I was originally interested in the sport and then kind of dipped out of it when it became Procession City.
Formula One have listened to you and a lot of people that feel the same way. And I know we're going to talk about this more tomorrow, but on Thursday, they released the full-size model of the 2022 car for the new rules, which is to promote closer racing.
Yeah, and I'm all for that. I think it's going to be a fantastic year for Formula One. And I'm not wishing away the year that we're in, the current year, but I'm super looking forward to seeing these new cars in action and seeing what changes it actually makes to racing.
Yes. Well, we've noticed with the other motorsports we've watched, it's the wheel-to-wheel racing that's the enjoying bit.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the cars going fast at all, which is, I think, Formula One over the last 20 to 30 years has purely been focused on who's got the fastest car, not on let's race better. And we've now gotten to that point where as soon as someone creates the fastest car, they win, done.
Yeah.
And you just get eras of who's got the best car. And that's it. So we need to...
It's true. I don't think... Maybe it's different if you're watching it in person, but if you are watching on television, I don't think an extra 10, 20, 30 miles an hour makes a blind bit of difference to you as an observer, because the cars are going fast. It looks fast regardless of what the speed they're doing, because that's the nature of television. When I watch other motorsports, Formula E, NASCAR, IndyCar, I've really got no perception of whether they're going faster or slower than in Formula One. Other than the lap times on similar tracks, that's the only real indication I have that one car is faster than the other. Watching it, you can't tell.
No, not at all.
And so it comes down to the other aspects of the sport, which are the more enjoyable aspects of the sport, which, as you say, is the wheel-to-wheel racing. It's going for overtakes. It's when things go very well and when things go very wrong.
Yes.
The status quo is a little dull in motorsport.
It's down, deeper and down.
I did wonder if you'd have a reference ready to go there for me.
Oh, yes. Always. Anything for status quo. Love them.
And so, as you said, there are some things that we're going to talk about in more detail tomorrow. But
indeed,
I think a lot changes in 24 hours, so it might be worth having a little pre-discussion of this now.
Yeah, no worries.
The news that we are imminent or imminently going to get news of drivers going to new teams and there being a little shuffle around.
We were supposed to, but that was very much poo-pooed on the Thursday. And Toto Wolff constantly keeps getting asked in every interview I've seen. And apparently the drivers don't even know yet. But apparently by the summer break, the end of the summer break, they should know. And obviously the around the paddock, the rumours are, and they're very, very strong rumours, that obviously we've been talking about it for pretty much most of the season.
And a bit of last, yeah.
Yeah, that Bottas won't be at Mercedes and it will be George Russell. And news, well, not news, but a very strong rumour has come out that if George does leave Williams, then the door is not open for Bottas, because if Guan Yu Zhou, the Chinese driver in Formula 2, if he wins the championship, then he's got a seat at Williams.
Well, Bottas, I hope you enjoy your new career in IndyCar. Or, maybe even a bit of Formula E. I think that would be a nice move for him. Jump into Formula E, try something a little bit different.
I struggle to think where else he might go.
Yeah.
Most teams kind of seem set for next year, really.
I mean, just looking at this list, Ocon, I'd get rid of Ocon and put Bottas in there in a heartbeat. But he's signed a 3-year contract or something?
Deal. Yeah. Literally, since he signed that deal, he's had a terrible season.
Well, he wasn't great last year either.
Not massive. The one person I think this season who has earned his seat is Giovinazzi. And we've talked about this over a couple of races. And especially last year, that this year he needed to pull something out of the bag. And he's really got the most out of that car this season and done really well.
Yeah.
So he listened to us.
Yeah. No, and as you say, everyone else is pretty much entrenched in their team. So, yeah, I think Bottas may be the odd man out.
Carlos Sainz might have only signed a 1-year deal at Ferrari, but he's been doing so well at Ferrari. Why would you swap him for Bottas?
Yeah. Right, before we do get into the race, there's a question from Oodles I think is a good one to get your thoughts on. What's your take on the new wheels and tyres for next year, and James Allison's claim that they will be 2 seconds a lap slower?
From what I've heard, the cars are anywhere between 1 to 4 seconds slower a lap. But to be perfectly honest, I understand this is the pinnacle of motorsport and we want to go fast. But if the racing's better, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with the laps going down. And the thing is that once the teams get hold of it, get their physical cars and go testing, they said this year the cars would be half a second to a second slower because of the rule changes around the floor by the rear tyres. But they're just not. The teams can work their magic and work their way around all the rules and find loopholes. I think they'll bring that speed up very, very quickly. And the wheels, I like the idea of going to the 18-inch with low profiles. I think that makes the tyres a lot more durable, which is what we want. We don't want to see tyres popping. And the only thing I don't like is the tyre covers. I don't like that we've gone back to the tyre covers. But that is to help the aerodynamics so that we can get closer racing.
And I think for me, when people talk about Formula One being the pinnacle of motorsport, I think it's more important that they are generally developing motorsport technology than just going faster. And that's not just, again, it's not just about going faster, it's about efficiency, it's about aerodynamics, it's about all of the tools, all of the kit in this car that just make a better vehicle, faster or not.
The most efficient combustion engines on the planet. 50% of what they get out of the fuel is purely power. A standard road car is about 30%. And they're now at the point where 10% of the fuel is biofuel. And next season, they want to bump that up to 15% of the fuel they put in the cars is biofuel. So not only are they pushing biofuel so that you can keep running your 1965 Mustang or whatever it is you've got, and you don't have to go electric. But things like lorries that are massively long distance, that have to pull big loads, eventually, many years down the line, they might go electric. But now we just don't have the technology.
No.
If we get biofuels in there that massively reduce their carbon footprint, we're winning. And things like that, the Formula One is really pushing.
It's sustainability at the end of the day.
Yes.
That's what all of this move and push to electric and hybrid is all about. It's about sustainability and efficiency. And if you can find a method that isn't electric that is going to sustain us into the future and isn't going to completely leave a wasteland for future generations, then go for it. Biofuel seems to be the way at the moment, and if F1 are behind it,
that biofuels weren't kind of thought of more first, just because I've nothing against electric cars. I do enjoy driving electric cars, but there are so many combustion engine cars on the road, and currently still electric cars are fairly expensive. That this is why this year we're changing from E5 to E10 fuels at the petrol station. So cars pre-2011 might not be able to accept it. But it's just another step of getting it so that the billions of combustion engine cars on the road can just be more sustainable and better for the environment.
Absolutely. There you go. A bit of slightly philosophical discussion to get us going. And we're on the formation lap. We're about to get going in the first F1 sprint from Silverstone.
Have the cars left the grid on your stream?
Yes.
On your telly?
Yeah, they've...
Mine have just left the grid on this. I might refresh it. I don't want to keep looking up there.
Yeah, you'll be closer to our view from the future in the live timing on the TV up there.
Oh, here we go. Is this right?
we're just coming round to the grid now on my stream. So we're about ready to get going.
Mine isn't at all. I'll watch both. Oh no. Yeah. Maybe similar.
Yeah.
Who knows?
If it's one thing that F1 can bring to the real world in the next 10 years, then it's all worth it. Yes, I agree.
Yes, totally.
And they've always been not a trendsetter is the wrong word, but they've always been a forerunner in bringing technology in. Right, now we are getting ourselves fully set up on the grid. There's some smoke from... Is that Verstappen smoking or the person behind him?
Is that it? Are we go?
Not yet. Not as far as I'm concerned, anyway.
We are, yeah. We are on Channel 4. We are go, go, go. Max is straight in the lead. Holy crap. Wow, there's been yellow flag already. Holy crap. Are they just at the grid on yours, or?
My stream has just decided to crap
die.
Out. Yeah.
Green flag. So right, I'm going to go from my stream now. 5 lights are out, and we are rolling. Max got a massive start on there. Who's that? Is that Leclerc as well? Got a great start. And Lando charging there as well. Holy crap. And George. Holy, this is... They're all going for it. They're all going for it.
Oh, yeah, right. Thanks for nothing, Channel 4.
Lewis versus Max coming down to this corner. Oh, listen to the crowd. Massive, massive crowd cheering as they come round. Down to the old pit straight.
Right, I'm back now.
Aha. No, green and yellow. That's gone. Hamilton's trying to get past. Oh no! This is great. Yep, let's keep this. Let's keep this all season.
It's pretty much a just a real race experience, isn't it? But
it is.
It's certainly more exciting than what we would normally doing on a Saturday in qualifying right now. So even though I didn't see the first lap of it, it's still more exciting than Q1.
Alonso's had an incredible start up to 5th from 11th. Perez has now done Danny Rick as well. Danny Ricciardo down to 8th. George down to 10th. The worst start is Sainz. Sainz down to 18th.
Wow.
Alonso up 6 places, up to 5th. This is crazy. So 2 laps gone, and Verstappen leads. Hamilton, Bottas, Leclerc, Alonso, Norris, Perez, Ricciardo, Vettel, and Russell are your top 10.
So Perez is actually down 2 places. He hasn't gained. He started 5th.
Yep. He went down to 8th and has now made a place back.
Got you. Okay.
What happened to Sainz? So here we go. It was a replay from the start from Max.
Do you think Sainz stalled?
His brakes are on fire off the line. The flames coming off. It was insane.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Because they were saying as the formation lap was concluding, like Mazepin at the back was majorly dragging his feet on the formation lap, and also they can't get going until everybody is on the grid.
That is an incredible start by Max with brake discs on fire.
Yeah,
amazing.
I think there are going to be words there with Mr. Mazepin about.
I wouldn't surprise me if he got some sort of penalty for that.
Mm-hmm. Because the Lewis and Max at the front were sat there for a very long time.
Sainz came into contact with George just wheel to wheel and knocked his fronts off.
Well, for George to still be in 10th with that in mind isn't too bad.
No, it's great. We knew that George would struggle. Hey, Mazepin spun. He's got to keep it up, hasn't he?
It just looks like Lewis hasn't got any straight line speed either. Like he tried to get past Max on a corner, and then when they came back into the straight, Max was gone, and Lewis just couldn't get back out onto the accelerator. Which is interesting because Max perceived to not have a very good qualifying yesterday, did he? He was complaining that the car was not very grippy.
Yeah. He wasn't happy with the tyres at all. But fine now, because as it stands, he'll be first on the grid for the race tomorrow.
Yeah. And he hasn't gone out to a huge lead so far, 3 laps in. But he's over a second in front of Hamilton now. In our view from the future, he's just set the fastest lap for Verstappen, 1:30.424.
Indeed.
Taking that from Lewis.
The only thing is now we're in that point of the race where it starts to get a bit procession-y.
Yeah. Well, so far this is just a normal race experience, isn't it? This is just like having a regular race. It's just going to end a lot sooner.
Yes.
And so all of the strategy that comes in terms of deciding when you are going to push probably comes in a lot sooner, or
hopefully
possibly.
We should just be able to push for the entire thing with it only being 17 laps.
Yeah, there's no holding back, you'd hope.
They've only got, like a third of a tank of fuel, so they're not carrying all the weight they normally would be, so they can just floor it and go.
Yes, I suppose this is like the last 17 laps of the race rather than the first 17 laps of the race.
Yes.
Just on fresh tyres and without any need to concern yourself with pit stop strategy or having to undercut and get fastest laps and things like that.
I think like a race, you get the first few laps of carnage over, then you need to mind your tyres a bit, and then say 5 to 10 laps from the end, you need to massively push. And who we got? That's Lando Norris now pushing on Fernando. It just seems so weird to say Alonso's that far up, especially this season.
In that car, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's no knock on Alonso that he is where he is this season, I don't think. I know he's advancing in years for a Formula One driver, but I still think he's still got it, as it were.
Mm-hmm. I just wonder why they chose him over someone new. It's an odd choice, but
it's probably the following that he brings. There are a lot of Alonso fans out there that are going to buy the merch, and at the end of the day, these teams have got to make money, haven't they?
Yes.
The merch isn't cheap. If 3 people buy a jacket, that's a house for someone. That's how expensive the jackets are.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's not even AlphaTauri ones.
No.
So Alonso, McLaren have reported Alonso to the FIA for weaving way too much as Lando's trying to overtake. Oh, who's that? Perez has spun off. Holy crap. He's still...
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, yeah.
Holy crap. What happened there?
It just all of a sudden was going sideways.
Almost got collected as well by, was that the Haas?
Yikes.
Holy, what happened to him there?
So here is an example of the kind of thing that can happen to you in a sprint race that is massively going to affect your race tomorrow.
Oh, he did well to keep that.
All the way down in 19th now.
Yeah.
He just spun. There's no one near him.
Takes Alonso. Get in. Norris now in 5th. That's nice. One place up. That's lovely. And George up into 9th, but obviously because Perez
stacked it. Yeah. But as we were talking about earlier, now I think Danny Rick has the opportunity to go after Alonso and try and take back that position.
Yeah, definitely. Which would then also put him up a place from his qualifying from yesterday. Oh, that was a beautiful overtake. That was great for Lando on Fernando. So George is under investigation at the moment for that incident with Carlos Sainz. So hopefully he doesn't get... I think it was just racing.
I don't think he was anywhere near, do you?
But then we didn't think Lando's was last time out, and look what happened there.
No, that's true. Well, that was a robbery, so I'm still not conceding that one. I don't think that was fair at all. But look at the replays that we've seen. It seemed like Perez was on his own. I don't see what effect anybody had on him, Russell or not, but could be wrong. We shall see.
Lewis saying on team radio that he just cannot keep up with Max Verstappen.
We could see that.
The power to keep up.
Yeah, well, it's a 1.7 second interval now between him and Verstappen, so he's dropping further and further back as the laps go on.
But then equally, Bottas isn't catching Hamilton.
No. Is he trying, though? Or is he just holding back Leclerc?
He really, really seemed unhappy when he was interviewed yesterday, and when he was asked about giving Lewis the toe in qualifying. And he was clearly asked, you could tell. And I think he knows he's not there next year.
He must know, surely. And I don't understand quite why he is still so happy to toe the party line for Mercedes, considering his days have been numbered since the end of last season.
Yes.
And when was the big crash that he had with George? Was that at the beginning of this season or the end of last?
End of last.
And I think since that point on, I think he's known that that's the man that's going to replace him at Mercedes,
Yeah.
and that it is imminent. And so either he's lost his passion and he's not willing to push anymore, or, you know, he is being told that Lewis is the guy and that he is just there to support Lewis, and he's happy with that, dealing with it.
Yeah.
Either
So
way, I
Danny
don't
Rick,
think it's very, very productive for Bottas at all.
no. Danny Rick is lining himself up here for an overtake on Fernando. Race control will be investigated after the session. The Russell crash will be collision will be investigated after the session. So
Okay.
hopefully,
I mean, this is a qualifying session, so you can adjust the grid after the fact, can't you? It's not as important that they sort it all out in progress as it is in a race. Hopefully,
so what is that?
nothing.
0.3 of a second between Alonso and Daniel Ricciardo now.
Mm-hmm.
When Danny Rick at every DRS, he's massively weaving. And is this that? Oh no, thought I'd done him. Danny Rick's got DRS. Fernando is too far behind Norris to have any DRS.
Yeah, Norris has gone way ahead. There's like a 4-second gap between him now.
Yeah, so Fernando is just literally holding Danny Rick up now.
Oodles thinks it was the wake behind the other cars that did Perez.
Yeah, more than likely.
It did seem like it was something like that to me.
Yeah.
I didn't see anyone around him.
Yes, get in. Lovely move from Danny Rick. Little switch back to do Fernando Alonso. And he's still got DRS. Oh, that's perfect. Oh no, Danny Rick's got that easily. That Alpine looks quick though.
Yeah. It certainly seems to look like the quicker of that third tier of car.
Yes. He's got the slipstream. He's coming back. Oh, no. He can't do it.
No. It just hasn't got the speed. You got to appreciate the attempt, though.
The FIA said this wasn't a race. It's a sprint, but it's not a sprint race. But I don't think the driver's got the memo.
Yeah, I mean, that is a statement without any kind of distinction, really, isn't it? Like,
yes.
That's like saying this is an egg, but it's a soft-boiled egg instead of a hard-boiled egg. So don't treat it like an egg because it's not an egg.
Oh, brilliant.
Dear me.
Ooh,
I do think that the FIA just say things sometimes and expect nobody to actually listen to what they're saying, to just report it verbatim and move on.
Yeah, pretty much. So Russell's doing great in 9th. Ocon still is more than a second behind him. Because Ocon's now got to start defending from Gasly, who's creeping up on him.
We've got 7 laps to go in this race. Sprint.
And Bottas...
Sorry, FIA.
Yep. Bottas is now starting to fall back, and Leclerc is starting to gain ground on him as well.
I think there's still a battle for third to be had in this amount of time, in this 7 laps. I'm not sure that Lando can close that 10 seconds to Leclerc in time. And it's not hugely necessary, I don't think. There's no points for 4th place, so keep it tidy. Maintain that 5th place, I would suggest.
The McLarens have gone up a place each. That is great for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think it's definitely worth Charles Leclerc going for Bottas and trying to take that last point and take
definitely
3rd place on the grid.
So we got a replay from Fernando at the start.
Trying to see what happened to Sainz.
Overtake. Just massively staying out of trouble. and then just had some really good lines.
Yeah,
Those first few corners.
he just had clear air in front of him, didn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, really good.
And right at the beginning of that replay, you could see that Sainz just didn't get going.
No,
that was what his problem was. It's just the car just didn't go. Big shame for him.
Is Alonso now about to lose another place? Because I think his softs have now started to go off, to be honest. I think he must have used a lot of the wear in his tyres at the start, because Vettel's catching him now and is going to have DRS.
He's just pushing really heavily, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's taken a toll on his tyres. So where did Alonso actually start this? What
11.
position? 11.
Yep.
Let's look at this timing. Yeah, he could potentially end up back there looking at the splits. Like Vettel probably takes him in the next lap or so. And then it's up to George if he wants to have a go as well. I don't think Ocon's got the guts to do it on the same team. So maybe that's where Alonso ends up. But it could be good for George. Could be good for Seb.
Haha, we back. Are we back?
Didn't know you'd gone, mate. I was talking to myself.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, the hotel Wi-Fi's just dropped out. So I've still got the telly up here, and you're now on 4G. So we're covered. The backup's working.
Cool. No, I didn't even notice you were going. I was kind of asking rhetorical questions.
Oh, but yeah.
But now I will actually address the question to you now that you're back. I don't know how much you heard.
Oh no, I was still talking when it crapped out. So.
Oh, fair enough. Right. No, you'd finish your sentence when you disappeared for me, because I didn't perceive that there was a problem. But I was saying that where Alonso is now,
yes,
I can see Vettel and Russell potentially doing him in this last 5 laps, and then
literally exactly what I was saying when it cut out. I totally agree.
Yeah,
just on Channel 4 now. I don't know if it's on your stream, but they're just showing the tyre wear on the front tyres. Just on the blistering on those front tyres.
I will probably get there soon. Obviously broadcast television is going to be way ahead of a live stream, even an official one that Channel 4 are offering. So yeah, it's
nice to have the British Grand Prix on free to air telly at least.
It is, yeah.
And they don't have the whole thing back.
And it made me realise that I could have just turned on Channel 4 on my Skybox and had the race there. So I'll do that tomorrow, so that we're as close to live time as possible.
I used to get free Sky F1 because my parents had Sky and they upgraded to HD. And back then, if you got HD, you got Sky F1 free. But they didn't use their Sky Go. So I just signed up to their Sky Go for myself. But they don't have Sky now. So
gutted. No, I've just ditched my TV provider, so I'm going to be borrowing and stealing for the F1.
So Max has just set the fastest lap of the race, a 1:30.049.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it's a bit of a gap now between Vettel and Alonso. I don't know if Vettel's backed off a bit at all, but Russell is starting to join that fold. We've got 3 laps to go, and after Alonso, there's a good 6 cars trailing behind him.
Even if Russell doesn't do anything more, and that's the point Oodles made, he's hanging with this crew quite well.
Yes.
You know, he hasn't dropped quite as much as I think you were anticipating at the beginning of the race.
He's got a really good start for this race.
I expected him to drop out of the top 10, so hopefully he can keep this up.
That Carlos Sainz overtaken Pierre Gasly.
He's done well to come back up to 11th.
Yeah.
As Sainz.
Now on Ocon.
If this were a regular race, I think Sainz would continue to rise up that field, but I think he might break the top 10 in the 3 laps to go. Might get
I
past
hope not,
Ocon.
because then that means he beats George. I think he might get to Ocon, maybe. But yeah, this battle for 7th and beyond is really, really close.
Yeah. And this is where now, as we come to the closing moments, we start to see the drivers going to push it and go for that extra place, where it doesn't mean anything really at this stage. It doesn't mean anything points wise.
No, but it means masses for the race tomorrow.
Arguably, yeah. I mean, you could argue the difference between 7th and 8th, is it that great? I think
it is when it comes to it's all the first corner. The first corner, people can jump up the inside, thing like that. You're one place further ahead. You've got a bit more of an opportunity to gain maybe another place or another 2 places.
Yeah.
So
there's also the consideration of what side of the track you want to be on.
Yes.
And
if you're going to be on the racing line or not.
You could potentially game that in terms of staying in an odd-numbered position rather than moving up to an even.
Yes, it's very true.
It's difficult to do that kind of thing in a qualifying session where it's all based on lap time. You can't really decide, no, I'd like to qualify 8th rather than 7th. It's near impossible to do that.
Yes.
But in a sprint race, you could do that if you wanted to and really decide what side of the track you want to be on.
Yeah, you can decide not to push for the last few laps, but stay ahead just to get that more rubbered inside of the track.
Yeah. Or you can cock it up and lose 2 places and end up on the side of the track you don't want and worse down the field.
Exactly. Or you could get too close, get in the dirty air, spin off, and Perez is still... Oh, he had a front wing problem, didn't he? So he's still down an 18th.
Yeah. He's pretty close to Latifi. He might just about manage to get past him before the end of the race, but not a good experience for Perez in this first F1 sprint.
Yeah, it's not one he'll want to remember.
No. But quite interesting to have Red Bulls on, opposite ends of the grid for the start tomorrow.
Yes. Yeah,
Perez
Max has got
really show off tomorrow.
He's done it before. He's come from the back. Yeah, they can't make any tweaks between this race and the next. It's Parc Fermé from qualifying yesterday. So unless it's on safety grounds, they cannot touch the cars.
So with Perez's wing, that's it. It's tough. Or
no, on safety grounds they'll have to like you would in a race.
Right.
You can change the wing, because if we've had like Nick Heifel a few years ago when the front fell off, because it's a scoop, it sat under his tyres and he was just freewheeling. He couldn't steer and had a big crash. So yeah, under safety grounds, they'll swap that front wing. I believe you can only swap like for like.
I'm with you. Okay.
You couldn't now put a brand new front wing on that's got slightly different end plates or anything like that. It has to be like for like.
So Perez has had another problem and he's had to go into the pit on the final lap. He hasn't actually managed to finish this race.
To be fair, I don't think it's going to make much difference.
No, he's not going to be stuck behind the Haas's in the race tomorrow, is he?
And that's it. Max starts on pole, Hamilton second, Bottas third. So that's a nice mix-up. Leclerc fourth. They have Norris and Ricciardo fifth and sixth. There's still a battle going on around the back. Vettel is still trying to go for Alonso. I think he's a bit too far away now.
Yeah.
But,
no. I think this is it now. Coming through the final corners on my stream.
Hey, just as we finish the race, the Wi-Fi comes back up. You couldn't write it, could you? Unbelievable.
And in that final lap, Lewis takes the fastest lap. Not that it matters particularly for the sprint. 1:29.937. So under the 1:30s.
At the start of this weekend, if Max had a massive problem and scored no points at all, and Lewis had got maximum points, Max would still leave the weekend in the number 1 spot.
And that's what we like. Lewis Hamilton not leading the Drivers' Championship and just running away with it.
Yeah, not getting his own way.
Because that does not a interesting
or
Formula One
any
season
driver,
make.
to be fair.
Not anyone. No, exactly. Yeah. I mean, some people are complaining that Verstappen is running away with it, but rather him than Lewis, to be honest. Pit happens, says Rooster. Welcome in. It doesn't in a sprint.
Oh, unless you're Sergio Perez.
Unless you're Sergio Perez, yeah. That was definitely a case of pit happens.
Yeah.
Dear oh dear.
I really enjoyed that as a quali.
I
enjoyed that more than quali.
Oh yeah, I think I said it last time we were doing the F1 that I'm not enjoying qualifying at the moment. It's not something that I'm into, and I definitely enjoyed that. You know, I would make a point of watching that on a Saturday afternoon, whereas I can take or leave quali most of the time. I'll just flick through it later if I have to. But no, I like it. What
I really do.
Are your more broad opinions of the sprint, having now completed the first one?
I think it's great. I think anything that can spice up the weekend. I mean, it's already spiced up the race for tomorrow before we've even had a race.
Yeah.
And I mean, look what it's done for Red Bull. They were on for 2 and 5. Now they're 1 and first and last.
Yeah.
And if Max can get a similar start to what he got yesterday, which is probably the only downside, he's just going to run away with it.
No, I agree with you.
The interesting part comes, as we saw, with the rest of the field, who had a brilliant race. And if we can get that again, then as long as we have something to keep us talking tomorrow on the race rather than on other things like we've had in previous races.
Yeah, we don't want a procession. And even though there were parts of that were a bit procession-y, I still think that there were a lot of things going on further back, like watching Alonso go ahead and then be attacked. I think that was interesting.
This is only the first one as well. I guarantee you after this now there'll be tweaks for the next one.
Yeah.
And that's what these 3 sprint races this year are all about.
Absolutely.
To try and see and change and see what we get. What I will be intrigued with is whether, I mean, Max was in the clean air, but whether the fire on the brakes has affected these brake discs at all for the race next week, because they're going to have got massively hot. Now they're going to have cooled, and they're going to heat up again tomorrow. I wonder if that'll be a problem.
It's a good question. Yeah, and obviously we mentioned that we may have words with Mazepin, the thing that caused that in the first place, with keeping the people at the front of the grid sat there for so long because he was dragging his wheels quite literally. Yeah, still a lot to come through until tomorrow, and I'm going to open up our notes because we actually need to predict tomorrow.
Yeah.
Now, we're not doing it sight unseen like we regularly do. So I'm going to have to take Reese's offline, as it were, and we'll announce them tomorrow. But what do you see the the podium being after tomorrow's race?
I see Max leading. I see Lewis second. And I see Leclerc third.
Okay. I am going to mostly agree with you. I'm going Max and Lewis 1-2, the same as you. But I think Lando's going to come up to third.
Nice.
I can see that happening with a bit more time.
Where is it? Come on. I know, Oodles, that there is one in Brazil this year. So Silverstone, Brazil. And I'm not sure where the other one is. I am trying to find it now, but all it wants to tell me is Silverstones. So it's definitely Brazil.
That's the problem with a current event, isn't it? You can't find any information other than what's happening right at this second when you try and search.
I think it might be the Italian Grand Prix. Of course, it can't tell me about because it hasn't happened.
Do you think it's something that if the FIA agree that this has been a success, do you think it's something that they could add more regularly to the calendar next year and maybe even every weekend?
Yes. I think they're trying this to basically decide the future of qualifying, and I think this worked.
I do as well. Yeah. In the absence of Reese, Mr. Harmstone has done some research, and he says, according to Google, the third one is unconfirmed, but Monza is rumoured.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd heard Brazil and Italy were going to be it. That sprint was short. Indeed, 100 kilometres, 17 laps.
That's what a sprint
is.
Here
we go. See, he gets an old school laurel around his neck, and he gets a bus ride around the circuit to wave. Just like they used to back in the old days.
Oh, well, Channel 4 are on commercials, so... So I don't get to see that.
Nice.
Yes. So instead of research, apparently we've got Harmstonepedia. I don't think...
okay.
I don't know. I think that might need a bit of work. That sounds a bit derogatory to Mr. Harmstone.
And speaking of Reese, here he is. Good timing.
Reese, if you can hear us or whether you're just on the chat, what's your top 3 for tomorrow? And I'll put it into the notes. Signal is shocking here. I'll put it in the chat just in case. You never know.
He's on the crypto lorry. Dun dun dun. Just him and a film crew. Who's that behind?
Maybe you can hear us. There you go. Max, Lewis.
Max, Lewis and Bottas. Although Bottas looks miserable as hell.
No, he's going Max, Lewis, Lando. He's doing the same as me.
Right. Sorry, I'm just looking at the little... They've each got their own little window for first, second and third in the lorry. It's an odd sight.
I haven't got that at all on this Channel 4 coverage.
Oh man, can't believe they're not showing it.
Unless it's restarted or something. I've got people talking, so right. So that has been noted, Mr. Research, and we'll reconvene it tomorrow when you join us. But I definitely agree with you. I think it was a success. I think I definitely enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to seeing what impact it has on the race tomorrow and the kind of fallout that comes from it. We've still got that Russell and Perez investigation to come. I don't see anything coming from that, but you never know.
No.
Yeah, very good. Sorry, I'm in and out. I'm getting things prepped for the drum war I'm about to have. Well, that's an excellent segue into what is coming up for the rest of today on the Primetime Streamer Network. Some of it you've got to ignore because most of it you've got to ignore. It's just Rooster Beast. Ignore Little Cute Girl. Ignore Always Be Chatting. It's just the 4-hour drum stream bonanza from Rooster Beast at 6 p.m. UK time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. And then tomorrow, it looks like this. It's us at 2:30 with the Effing Racing Show for the second part of this race weekend and the Silverstone Grand Prix. And then it's Club Mad 2020 with Music Madness from 6 p.m. UK time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. And actually, he's on and off quite a lot at the moment doing his raid trains that he's doing. I think he's actually on live now. So if you fancy some music, go over and see Club Mad 2020. He's doing a paper scissors raid. That's it. Yeah. Yes, he is. Yes. But we will be raiding elsewhere, as is mandated by the Twitch Sports Accelerator program that I'm part of. So we're going to go and see somebody else, and we will be back tomorrow at 2:30 to take you through another exciting bit of racing from Silverstone.
Oh yes.
So, being as we're in England, and you like to put out a more kind of exotic goodbye, I'm dying to know how this is gonna work today. So I will say goodbye, yep. And I'll hand the floor to you.
Pip pip tally ho.
I love it. Thanks for coming, guys. See you tomorrow.
Bye.